Hey there, welcome back to the School of Tomorrow. You've probably heard me talking recently about the calculator of tomorrow, and that's a bit of I'm kind of making fun of the regime of graphing calculators and not giving anyone any room. Like you get a tiny little desk. It's all about squeezing you into some kind of claustrophobia inducing crowded kind of cattle in a cattle car. It's kind of a daycare setup anyway. But when you get to spread out and have a real desktop and do use the calculator of tomorrow, right? Where's your personal workspace? Maybe if the voting age went down lower, people would, vote for personal workspace, right? Like more like you get in a high rise when they give you a cubicle. But why do you have to wait until you're like employed to have a cubicle, at least a cubicle to do your math homework, if anything? They want you to learn coding and learn STEM, but where do you get to work, right? Crowded in some cattle room. So in the calculator of tomorrow, it's real easy to read CSV files, and I'm just doing that now. Like I'm running the calculator as I talk here, and I'm not sure why it's taking forever. I think it's because I have a lot of processes going right now. So while all that's happening, let's pop open Spider and take a look at the CSV file in question, airports CSV. Now, I can look at them in Jupyter Lab too, but they tend to be more structured looking. Like I just want to show the raw data here of a CSV file so you know what we're talking about. So it's just text with commas. It's called comma separated values, CSV. But notice the very top line. Those are column headings. That's what you want to treat as column headings. And it provides on its own this kind of numeric sequence going down the side. So not all data sets are going to bother to enumerate themselves for your benefit. This one does, but it doesn't give a column name. It doesn't call it anything like index. It just has a comma there, which, as we're going to see, is a little bit quirky and is going to be a little bit confusing to pandas, but pandas is going to handle it okay once we have pandas working, which apparently we don't have yet. Let's see, maybe it's already run those two. Shift enter. No, we're still waiting for pandas. I think I'll pause the video here. Okay, I did like a reload. Everything seems to be working now. So let's see what this, after reading that file, which is easily done in just one method, the read CSV method of pandas itself. Calculator can't read data like this, hey? Maybe off a tape. I don't know, some calculators have like, maybe they have a little, like a camera card, a SD card where you can store your data, maybe. And maybe some cell phones actually can run pandas, and so you can fit all this on a really tiny screen. Or maybe your cell phone can power a big monitor with an external power supply. So what the form factor is that you're working with to start with, maybe with some peripherals or something. And then the question is, where can you do this? Do you have to go to a coffee shop to do this? Because that's kind of where they push you now. And it's not the job of the school, you're told, to provide you with a workspace. That's the last thing they want to have to do, right? That would change a lot if you had a real office to go to and really learn, quiet, undisturbed. You know, you think kids would just run around and misbehave or whatever, but think about it. You know, there's a lot to learn here, and other kids are being pretty serious about it. So, anyway, I want to look at the columns of this airport thing just as a set. Like, I asked to see the head, and it gave me, meaning the first 5 rows, and it gave me a really good sense of what's in this table. And notice when I hover my mouse, it changes the color of the rows, and this is all really cool. But if I just want it in writing what the columns are, it comes back with what's called an index type object. And this is the thing that Pandas is doing for you, is it's kind of putting a picture frame around the picture. And instead of making you reach in and get data using numeric labels like you would in a, say, NumPy array, which is kind of what this wraps. It's a series of series. It's a sequence of series. You can start talking to columns and rows using their quote-unquote labels. So what I've decided to do unannounced is simply wipe out this column up here called unnamed. That's the one that just had the comma in the CSV file. I'm just taking it out. And here's one way I can do that. I can just say delete and then in square brackets after the name of the data table, because airports is that table. It's the name of it. Airports under the hood is a data frame. So it knows all these tricks. It knows how to delete whole columns, redisplay, and notice though that I'm still using a numeric index. I'm not yet going to be able to use letters directly to get to my rows. And that may be fine, right? So I'm not saying you always have to change that state of affairs. So here's the group by command. Again, this is what you're missing if you're going through, say, 4 years of high school and they let you use a graphing calculator, but you're not allowed to look at the shape of your data table. This has over 6,700 rows. And you don't learn about, what are the unique continents, what are the airports of the world. That's what we're looking at here. Now, is this data set complete? Even internally, it's not. Like, I don't have the lat long coordinates for a great many of the airports. By a great many, I don't mean the majority. I just mean quite a few. Now, here we're starting to look at query. Dot query lets me pass in what's almost just like standard query language, where I say, hey, I want the row where the IATA 3-letter code is UTK. And I get back the right row. And let's check Portland, PDX. I do have lat long for Portland. Now I'm going to change the index column to actually be IATA or IATA. The 3-letter code column is now going to be my index. Now, actually, I was using this last night with some lucky students who don't have to, but see, they're adults already, and they're not in high school, and so then they get to learn this stuff. But why isn't it just taken for granted that you might want to learn this stuff a little bit earlier and not have to relearn it later, or in other words, you'd get a head start, is what I'm saying. And what's holding you back is constant use of equipment that no one actually uses anymore in the real world. You're probably in some kind of I don't know, a daycare center where you have a resemblance to an education going on. There's something going on. But as you know, if you listen to my rants, if you're not getting the whole number polyhedra, and again, that's a meme, you know what I'm talking about, the whole number volumes, if they're keeping out like American history and literature, then how can they call it a public school in the sense of a United States public school, right? If you're not, So I'm saying I'm just going to brainstorm what a public school might look like, and I think I'm going to start with every student gets at least like a cubicle. Now, I don't love cubicles, and I know a lot of kids just want to be more outside than they are. And it would be better if this were more like maybe a camp, even a boarding school where you live semi outside, but there's workstations. Use your imagination, because I think it's up to each generation to kind of storyboard some new institutions. It's not like everything's handed to you all finished and you're not supposed to touch it or change it. I'm suggesting change is way overdue in some of these easy to measure metrics. Like if you're still stuck with a graphing calculator and you've just finished like 3-4 years of high school and you didn't get any of this, what I'm showing you here, you should be questioning authority, right? Questioning priorities. Maybe we can lower the voting age, huh? Something like that, because you're not getting your money's worth. And now you're going to have to go into debt to learn what you could have learned in public school and not had to pay for it as much, right? I mean, there's still what? Property tax, income tax. As an old guy, I'm paying for all kinds of people to be in school, but then they don't teach what I want them to learn. So it's like taxation without representation again on my side. That's how it feels, right? Let's have all your money so we can kind of enslave these kids into some past set of no longer relevant reflexes. How about it? And I'm like, I don't have much choice. Anyway, I do have the choice to share this stuff online. A lot of people are. The Panda stuff is everywhere. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like the only teacher of this stuff. I'm just questioning, why aren't we getting it in high school? Why are we waiting for code school to do the job that high school could have done, right? That's kind of my question. And, privileged elite high schools, they're using this already. You're worried that you're falling behind? Well, bring it up. Bring it up with your representatives that you're falling behind. Talk to you soon.